Song from David Olney, along with guitarist Sergio Webb. David Olney passed away this past Saturday. He died on stage. He was performing the third of several songs at a folk festival down in Florida, and he stopped for a moment, said, "I'm sorry," and put his head to his chest, and he passed away as gently as he is described as being in person. We had the opportunity at WOJB to host he and the man who was accompanying him there on that song as well, Sergio Webb. He performed a WOJB concert that was hosted at the Lakewoods Resort by the Rasmussens there. Broadcast of this program is made possible with the support of North Crossing Foods, organic, bulk, gluten-free, regional favorites meat there. North Crossing Foods has roasted organic coffee, specialty meats, and a large selection of organic and natural bulk foods and spices, local cheese, hand-dipped ice cream. At Green Valley Road, next to the State Patrol in Spooner, North Crossing Foods, hours Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., northcrossingfoods.org. Information 715-635-0084. And support is provided by the Ojibwe College. And joining me this morning is Dr. Russell Swagger, who is the president of Ojibwe College. Dr. Swagger, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Good to see you. Last
You
time
too.
we saw each other,
Yeah.
It was Chamber of Commerce dinner, I believe.
That's
Yeah,
right.
It's good to see you there. That was a couple of months ago, I think.
Yeah, time's going fast.
We have, some may note that I said Ojibwe College. I didn't
That's right.
say I didn't say community, and you might not have noticed, but I spelled it differently too. Without an A, but with an E.
That's right.
No, Ojibwe.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me the change in name. I mean, some may say not significant. Others would say, well, there was a point to it.
Right. Well, I think it's important for everyone to know that we went through quite a rigorous process of involving as many people as we could in the decision-making process for the name change, just as we tried to do for everything else that we do that's of real significance at the college. And so the name change was prompted by the fact that we're now offering pilot bachelor degree programs. And so one thing that you do as you go through the process is you ask yourself a lot of questions about how you're going to be different once you start offering those programs. And by becoming a bachelor's degree serving institution, you ask yourself, is the name adequate? Does the name have to change to reflect any of the new things that we're doing, or are we no longer doing any of the things that we used to do? And so how are we different, or how will we be different? And so we posed that question to a lot of people, and we got a lot of different feedback in terms of what people thought the name should be. And I think one of the things that was important was that people wanted to make sure that the identity of the Ojibwe people stayed in the name. So we decided to keep Ojibwe in the name, because not only are we based here in Ojibwe, but we're also Ojibwe people, which is significant, a part of the name. And then the reason that community was dropped was because when you start offering bachelor's degrees in the higher education world, that you're no longer a community. And so in terms of like marketing or people looking at your who you are as an organization and making decisions about whether they want to go to college at your school, if they see the word community in your name, then that to them means that you are doing 2-year degrees or less. And so it's the word community in higher ed means something completely different than it would mean in other terms to other people. And so now as far as the higher education world is concerned, they would understand by seeing the name without the word community that we are offering at least bachelor's degrees. And so as an example of considering name changes, if we were to start offering master's degrees or more, we might consider changing the word college to university, to let people know that we are offering master's degrees or higher. So that's just kind of how the way that higher education world works. Of course, we can keep our name any way that we want to keep it, but overwhelmingly, this is what people wanted to do. And so we honored that choice that people made, and we especially wanted to talk to the elders and to the tribal governing board and to our board of regents and other significant stakeholders like that. And so we felt pretty comfortable in the end that we had gotten good advice from people as to how we should proceed with the name change.
So community 2-year, college 4-year, university, graduate
or higher,
masters or higher programs. Bachelor's degrees, tell us about those.
Well, initially we're offering one degree in human services and another in business. And the way that we arrived at that conclusion was by, again, surveying all the communities that we're in. And the tribal communities overwhelmingly said that they would like to have business degrees and human services degrees. And obviously, business degrees are important to people because we need to see economic development in our communities, and we need to be able to have people that have the ability to run the programs that we have. And so having the business skills and acumen to do that enables your tribal organizations to be stable organizations and to grow and to do all the kinds of things that you need to do, because people need to know how to manage people. They need to know how to manage finances and all the elements that it takes to run a business successfully. We also want to talk about entrepreneurs who are people that want to take a risk and open up a business that provides a service or a product to the community. And so those are the kinds of things that happens under the umbrella of that program. And then with human services, I think all of us are aware of the need that we have to have foster care for children and to have programs for people who are addicted to alcohol and drugs and all the other kinds of issues that our people struggle with. And so having that human services program and that business program ensures that in the future we're going to have educated people that are moving into those positions and will take those programs to where they need to be to serve our people. So we're excited about those. February 24th and 25th next month, we have 2 people coming from the Higher Learning Commission. And those 2 individuals are going to visit our school. They'll look at all of our documents that we sent to them, talk to students, teachers, faculty, other people, and they will walk away with a recommendation to the Higher Learning Commission as to whether or not they want to accredit us to offer bachelor's degree programs. And in terms of our own evaluation, we looked at things and we feel pretty strong that the team will walk away having the same sense that we have strong teachers and strong faculty to offer those programs, and that our students, although they may struggle with a course or two, are having a good experience in those programs. And so I think that, as far as our role is concerned in the community, we're doing a great job and a great service to people. And of course, we want to continue to get better and better every day, but we feel very good about that. And one of LCO's own is running the business program, and that's David Fleming, and he's doing a great job for us. And he's got some exciting, vision for the program in the future. And we hope that, we will be able to attract people like David to the college to offer their experience and be able to help tribal people to do the things that they want to do. So.
Well, when you mentioned human services, I know that if you look at, for example, county budgets, whether it's Sawyer, Washburn, Ashland, Bayfield, whichever, one of the largest items, line items, if you will, or areas of expense and cost is in the Human Services Department. There's a great need, and there are opportunities for jobs within them.
Right.
Here at Lac-Courte or elsewhere in the surrounding area.
That's right. And I think that something that is important for people to always remember is that we serve the other Ojibwe communities in the state. And all of those Ojibwe communities are saying the same thing, that business and human services programs are also very important to them as well. If we don't have people skilled in those areas, especially when it comes to our people, because our issues are different than they are at other places. They're unique in certain ways. And if we don't have those people that can intervene positively in somebody else's life, we run the risk of, losing people at dramatic rates. We run the risk of losing language and culture and a lot of the other things that are important to us. And so, for us, it's more than just an educational program. For us, it's about being able to strengthen our communities.
Well, that's one of the things that I think I have a note here about the college, and the college has been providing support for WOJB, whereby we make announcements regarding things. For example, the registration for the spring semester, which did that conclude just this past Friday? Friday, I understand that. But the mission of the college to provide Anishinaabe communities with post-secondary and continuing education in advancing language, culture, and history of the Ojibwe. It's an important part of the mission, isn't it?
Very much so. And we always try to remember, starting out our ceremonies is beginning our day, and things that we do throughout the day. So one of the things that we've done recently was put together a an elder cultural advisory committee. And so we have representatives from each of the Ojibwe nations that serve on this board, and they come together 3 or 4 times a year with us, and we have issues that we're dealing with, and we ask them for their advice. And so they will sit and counsel us about the issues that we're dealing with. And that's proven for us to be very crucial and important to the work that we do. So as we go through the name change, as an example, one of the things that we're talking about right now is a logo for a mascot for the college. And so we are really putting some thoughtful and meaningful discussions into place, so that when we make this when we have this name change, we have a logo in place that people will understand that it came from a very rooted place with people that, have lived long lives where they've, carried the culture and the language forward with them. And so when they're giving us that advice, then we can feel comfortable that we're doing justice to ourselves as Ojibwe people, because, we don't always know everything, and we want to make sure that we're respecting people as much as we can. And so that's become very important for us. So, and then we have people like Dennis White, Michelle Haskins, and David Bisonet. We're very fortunate to have them at our school. We also have partnerships with people like Dr. Sullivan and Keller Papp and Lisa Larange over at the Wadukadotting School, and so we're trying to do partnerships with them. We just talked about doing some maple sugar and some ricing and things like that. They're getting ready to start their charter school now, and so that's ensuring that future generations can come through their classrooms, and then after they graduate from high school, then they can come through the college doors. And so we want to make sure that we're all together on the same page. And so a lot of those exciting discussions are happening behind the scenes too.
My guest, Dr. Russell Swagger, who's the president of Lekooteree Ojibwe College here at Lekooteree. And of course, a little earlier you were hearing the sound of, grinding coffee and perhaps a latte being made. This was additional sound effects that we provide for you when we broadcast from Koobie's Coffee. That's not just other extraneous noise. That's the real thing. That's coffee. Where you're always welcome to join us here, by the way, at Koobie's on these Tuesday mornings when we broadcast from Koobie's at the corner of County Highways B and K here at Lekooteree. Dr. Swagger, I was recently I have for a number of years made it a habit to visit southern Mexico, where my father lived until his passing earlier in the spring, and was there and speaking with some of the folks who live among the indigenous people there, among the campesinos up in the mountains, and they face, we talk about the maintenance of tradition and culture. indigenous people everywhere face these very, very similar problems. The story is not much different about the arrival in Central America and then South of the Spanish from Europe, and changing the culture with both the church and the guns and germs and steel, as one person wrote, and the church. And here in the northern hemisphere in North America, very much the same. This attempt to maintain the culture, the traditions, the life, the lifestyle. And there, the folks that I know there say that this, if we could learn the story and live the story and live and look at the lives of the indigenous people, we would have probably fewer problems environmentally, culturally, socially, economically.
Right. And, I think about modern day and where we're at in terms of having a real grasp on who we are as a people. And years ago, I would have said that I felt a little bit differently in terms of what I thought the future was going to hold for our people, that maybe we weren't preparing ourselves enough for that. But coming to Lukutere has been a real eye-opener for me, because when I look at Wadukadotting especially as an example of people who recognized long ago that we needed to embrace who we were, and we needed to document things, we needed to pass traditions and stories and knowledge on to future generations. That's something that they did, and they're doing it every day now. And so that really makes me feel encouraged. And the fact that the college has that as central to their mission also is very encouraging to me. And, having lived with my grandparents, who were very much traditional people, I would say that what we're seeing today with Wadukadotting and with other programs and other reservation communities, I feel pretty encouraged about the future. And I think the biggest threat that faces us right now in terms of, potentially losing our identity and elements of who we are as a people is ourselves. And that's why I think the college is so important. And I think the college people recognize as kind of a neutral place, a safe place where people can go to express themselves and to find themselves in terms of their identity and struggle with some of the issues that they have in their life. And when they walk out through the doors upon graduation, that they can take with them what they've learned to plant seeds and to carry on the things that they've learned. And so that's the great thing about education. And our board chair, Jason Bisonet, always talks about education being the great equalizer. And so if there's anything that will cause us harm, it will be because we've harmed ourselves from the inside out. We've been able to ward off all of these threats and things that have come to us for centuries now. And it's upon us to maintain who we are as a people. And so I very much respect the people that are working every day in those type of programs, because they truly are warriors. They truly are people that have made great sacrifices to make sure that they would see the future generations speaking the language and carrying on traditions and customs and things like that of the Ojibwe people. And it makes you feel really a sense of pride to be an Ojibwe person when you walk through Ojibwe communities and you hear the language being spoken and you see people carrying on things that were done hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And so being part of this college for me really is something that I truly respect, because I understand that my leadership must maintain that focus.
Mm. The college was begun about the same time, virtually nearly the same year as WOJB, in just a little building which had been a print shop. And there is so much that has changed. I mean, physically, the physical change, the infrastructure, the buildings, the space, the environment that is there is one of higher learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite a place.
Yeah. And we like to partner with people who have similar interests to us, and I've talked to Mark and other people about the potential. David Fleming actually was one of the people too, about a potential partner with WOJB. Although we don't know exactly what that looks like, we want to make sure that we try to support each other and make sure that we can continue to do the good work that we do, because WOJB obviously transmits knowledge and makes sure that people stay connected and aware of what's going on, all things that are very important in our daily lives as we go about doing the things that we do. Being aware of what's going on around you is extremely important. And so anything that WOJB has done for us, I'm very grateful for. And again, anything that we can do for WOJB, we see that as important too. And I feel the same way about all the other partners that we have too. The LCO schools, the TGB, the health center. I mean, just about every tribal entity has some kind of connection to the college. And we just had a vets group that came in the other day and offered a scholarship to our students. And I can never forget the elders. They come in and they cook every week, and every penny that they make goes back to student scholarships. And I've been in education for 30 years. I can't say that I've ever seen an elders group that's been so committed to the education of its people. So we're very grateful for those folks and all the things they do. And maybe now is an appropriate time too for me to say that our condolences to the Bodine family for their loss of their family matriarch, and she was very important to the college. And we still have Kim, who works on our nursing faculty, and Michelle, who's supportive of the college, who of course is on the TGB. But we want to say how sorry we are for their loss. And we did get to have Miss Bodine come out and talk to our faculty several months ago now, and talked about the beginning stages of the college and some of the memories that she had of things that went on there. So we're very fortunate to have her come talk about that. But we have people like Marie Kuykendall and Ellen Martin and Mona, and there's just so many others that are very supportive of the college and come out and help us out in so many ways. We're getting ready actually to start a program where we're having tribal elders come out, and we're going to give them a stipend, and their job is just to be there on the campus and share their good energy. So if students need them, or they want to go in and to a classroom and sit and just change the energy in the room, things like that, we're going to have them there for us, because there's so many elders that come to me and say, if there's anything that you'd like me to do at the college, please let me know. And I can't think of a better honor for them just to come and share the blessing of their life with us. So
I should mention, you mentioned Dolores Bodine. She walked down just this past Friday, and the tribal funeral rites for Dolores Bodine. She was 83. Our today will be at a little more than an hour from now at 10 at the Pine View funeral service, which is on County Highway K, just south of where we are, and the burial at St. Francis at Reserve. You mentioned WOJB and a linkage between. I mean, there are many of us, for decades now, have thought, some of the most successful and best communicating broadcast services, whether it's this state or others, are linked to an educational institution. And many of us have imagined for years, what if there were a doorway between WOJB studios and the college? The rich opportunity that would present for both, for the college to share the to have the 100,000 watt voice for whatever programs, whatever guests were visiting the college, coming through, students, teachers, and others, adjunct visiting speakers and such. It's often kind of been awe-inspiring to consider. At one time, one of the college employees, Jeff Ames, years ago, he and I talked about, what if we moved our antenna over there? And we could have this marvelous opportunity. But that's something for another day, perhaps. Dr. Swagger, I think our last visit, you made reference to, not just a passing one, to the possibility of establishing some dormitories at the college in order to provide housing so that folks can just be there and not be necessarily commuting distance, short or long.
Right. And so I think it's important for everybody to know that this is something that we've made a priority for the college, because we believe that there are so many people that are in need of an education, but they can't necessarily get the education because they have a lot of limitations in their life. One of those is transportation. Another one of those is housing. And so if you take those barriers away that people have, then you give them access to an education, and it gives them the ability to accomplish the dream that they have for, getting a degree and going on and getting a promotion at work, or getting a different job, or moving into a different career field. And so we have put some money into doing a master facility plan that right now we are meeting with elders, the tribal governing board, the planning department, the real estate department, and other folks as a final phase of our information gathering. And then after that, then the architects will go to work on the conceptual piece of the work. And so that is going to be done June of this year. And so that was a project that was funded in total by the American Indian College Fund through a grant that they received. And so the college didn't have to pay any money for that. So we were very fortunate, and we appreciate the American Indian College Fund for their donation to us. And then we also have work being done by a group called Bowen National Research, and their job is to study the need for both single student housing and solo family housing, or and married family housing. And so that we got to the point where they had reached a final draft, and we said we needed them to do more work and we needed more information, because it did not reflect accurately, in my opinion, the amount of housing that we would need to build. And so they're going to complete that work for us, and then we will decide from there how many units we can build. And at the same time that all that's going on, we're meeting with an individual whose work primarily is to be an owner's representative. And what that means for this kind of a project, it means that person goes out and brings investors to the table, and then identifies contractors that can do construction, and then architects and engineers and everybody else that's needed to develop that campus. And so we just had an initial meeting with that person. We haven't made a decision about whether or not to bring that person on board, but that's part of the work that we're doing right now. So we have taken that very seriously, and we've been working on that for months, and we'll continue to work on that. But I do foresee a time where we will have that housing in place, and that'll give people from Red Cliff, Bad River, Lac du Flambeau, St. Croix, the Potawatomi, who we've been over to meet, and hopefully someday the Mole Lake people, an opportunity to come here. And my early estimations are that we could potentially have another 500 students or so if we had these dormitories. And we have a large population of people right now that come from the Twin Cities, which is a 3-hour drive one way for them to attend classes here. And if there was housing here in the community, they would have a place to stay.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Swagger, I want to thank you. Congratulations on the work that's being done, and 500 additional students, if there were housing
that's
available.
A minimum.
That's minimum. That's impressive. Dr. Russell Swagger, he is the president of the Ojibwe College. I'm Eric Schubring. We broadcast Tuesday mornings from Koobie's Coffee at the corner of County Highways B and K, and we'll be going to our programming from the radio station, popping back there for